Hi everybody, this is Cheryl, and this is the next episode of Prepping for Beginners. In this part, we're going to talk about gear and the rules of survival. Now, you're going to hear a lot of channels talking about gear. You're going to see all kinds of reviews and, just all kinds of things. But you need to stop and think about what you really need. What are you prepping for? And what gear do you actually need for what you're prepping for? Now, no doubt about it, there's certain gear that you're going to have regardless. But stop and think about what your basic plan is. Go back to the very beginning when you wrote up your plan. What are you prepping for? Is it a storm, earthquake, blackout, a bad winter? What are you prepping for? Okay, so once you've figured out, what gear that you need for whatever event, think about what brand, how much money do you want to spend, what is the function of it. Do you need just a folding knife? Do you need a bushcraft knife? Do you need a bigger knife? Think about what you would be using that for. Do you need a saw? How big of a saw do you need? Think about, the basics of what you actually need. Now, part of what you will take into consideration is there's different rules and different things that you need to keep in mind. And we talked a little bit about some of these before. The first one is the rules of 3. Now, the rules of 3 is 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. And to help you out, and you can pause if you want to write this down. Okay? Then you want to remember the 5 C's. And this is what you would need in any of your bags, or, if you were going hiking in your camping gear, whatever. Cover, cordage, combustion, cutting, container. Okay, now I've wrote that down so you can pause and write that down. Okay. And, of course, you want to always remember 2 is 1 and 1 is none. And then remember what we talked about, the top 4 that you want to prep for. The top 4 being water, food, medical, and safety. Okay. And there's something else that I learned that kind of helped me when I first started. Use what you got. When I first started prepping, the first thing I did was I went through my house and I found everything that most preppers keep on hand, keep handy, whatever, that I already had. And your tools, your anything that would help with any of these things that I just showed you. Your shelter, your cordage, your can openers, anything in your house that you would need in order to survive. Okay? So that's use what you've got on hand. Once you have gathered up what you have on hand, you can better decide, okay, what do I need? Well, there's a little bit of confusion as what is gear, okay? Well, gear can be whatever you need to help you survive. A medical kit is gear. A wool blanket is gear. It's not necessarily a knife or a gun or a saw or a hammer. It's what you need to survive, okay? So keep that in mind. Think about what you need for what you're prepping for. Now, later on down the road, we're going to get into your bug out bag, and your get home bag, and all the different types of bags. We're going to talk about, what equipment you need for those kinds of things, what you should be putting in your bag for those kinds of things. Things might change a little bit. But when you're putting together these things, and one of the problems we had was we didn't have two of everything. So we had to, kind of switch them out. If Angel went out, she took the compass. Where if I went out, I took the compass. We had to switch up. That's fine. As long as you both aren't leaving at the same time and going different directions. But try to remember that each bag you have should have the things in it that you would need for basic survival. These basic 5 things should start you out. The 5 C's should start you out. Making sure that your EDC bag and your get home bag both have a knife in it. Bearing in mind, all of these rules, put together what things you would need for your survival. Now, having said that, you also want to look at what individual person needs, because what one person in your family may need, the other person may not need. If the husband is going off to work in the field, he's going to need different equipment than the wife who's going to work in the nursing field. Maybe she's a nurse. What equipment she may need is not the same as the equipment he's going to need. You see what I'm saying? So, think about where you're going, what you're doing, what event may be a problem. If you have your EDC bag and you've gone to the grocery store and something happens and you have to walk home, what are you going to need in that bag to get home? You see what I'm saying? That's what you need to base your gear on. Thinking about why you're putting together a particular kit or a particular bag. And what will you be doing? Where will you be going? Okay, so that's the things you want to kind of look at when you're looking at gear. The next thing you want to look at is cost. You certainly don't want to start out with the most expensive if you can't afford it. Buy what you can afford and build up. If you really like that $200 knife, hey, that's fine. Save up for it. But until then, get you a cheaper knife that will get you by until you get that knife you really want. Okay? So think about those things. I think that will just about cover it. The only other thing I want to mention is there is one book that I want to suggest and a movie I want to suggest. Now, the book is one that most preppers will tell you is the Ultimate Survival Guide, and that is the SAS Survival Handbook. by John Lofty Wiseman. It's a very good book. I do not have a copy of it yet. I know it comes in a full-size book. It also comes in a pocket size. That is one of the books I would recommend looking into getting. A movie that I found, now Will Patriot sent this movie to us, and I showed this, and I done a little thing about, doing it like Brandon did it, But this movie is very, very good. And this is where I got that use what you've got. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because no spoilers, but there's one scene where Grandpa tells the boy, use what you got. And I'll leave it at that. But it's like he had another phrase of always look up. And that's one of the things I want to emphasize is that all of this can be overwhelming. But you know what? You're doing okay. You're learning, you're building, you're starting to grow, and you're starting to prep. And that's the most important thing. So at this point, I'm going to say bye. Have a good day. And remember, prep what you need. All right. Bye.